G'day guys, I'm here today just to do a quick review of a rod and reel that I purchased recently. It's the Sage Trout Spey HD. This is the 10'9" 2-weight, the 2109, and the Sage Click reel in the 456 size. Now, this is just a user review. Let me start by saying I purchased this at full price from a dealer, and I'm not affiliated with Sage in any way. But I do own some of their equipment because I just think it's really, really good stuff. Anyway, I've had this rod for a couple of weeks now, and I've been casting a fair bit with it. And I must say, it is lovely. It's perhaps not a rod for the absolute beginner spey caster, I would say that. It definitely gives you a lot of feedback as to what's happening with your cast, and if you're say an intermediate level spey caster and you're wanting to take your casting to the next level, then I think this is a really fantastic rod. Of course, it's not cheap. Being a Sage, it's very much at the premium end of things, but from my experience casting it so far, I'd have to say it's very much worth the money, in my opinion. Now the reel, the Click, is a super light reel, which some people might think on a spey rod would be too light and not enough to balance the rod. What I would say about this outfit is the whole thing is incredibly light and sensitive, and I don't really think that you need to put a heavy reel on a trout spey rod that's this light. If you're talking about going up in size to heavier spey rods, then yes, perhaps that becomes more of an issue. Others might have a different opinion on this, but to me, having the really, really light Click reel feels really nice on this, and as you can see there, it's pretty well balanced. There's not really too much of an imbalance issue because the rod itself is just so light. So the whole thing feels incredibly light in hand, and that translates when you're casting it into a great deal of sensitivity and feel for the cast. It's got plenty of power. At the moment, I only have the Scandi line for this. I've got a Skagit line that's on order, but it hasn't arrived yet, and I'll be interested to see how it casts with that. But with the Scandi, it casts just beautifully. This is the Rio InTouch Trout Spey line, which seems to be a really good match for this rod. It is the 2-weight Trout Spey line, and on the front of that, I have got a 10-foot floating leader. This is the Scientific Angler's Sonar 10-foot leader. It's a 50 grain leader, which is a nice light tapered leader, I think, that works well on this particular Scandi. And on that, I've just got about 10 foot of leader at the moment, going to a bit of indicator just to practice with. Now the reel is a Click Pawl reel, obviously. It doesn't have a drag, except it's got a tiny little resistance knob there where you can just adjust the amount of tension on the clicker. It sounds really nice, which, you know, everybody likes the sound of a nice reel sort of clicking away when a fish is taking drag off you. It's nice and easy to wind, super light, lovely finish. I got it in the bronze colour, which I think matches really well with this particular series of rods. So for a trout rod of this size, I think a Click reel is actually a nice option. I don't think you necessarily need a drag really for most of the trout that we're likely to catch in Australia. If you do hook into a bigger one, you've always got the option of using your palm to put a little bit of pressure on it. One of the nice things about the Click reels is that they're quite a large arbor, and so they've got a low startup inertia, which means it's not hard for a fish to just take drag if they hook up. And that can be a bit of an issue if you're swinging soft hackles or the like downstream. Some of the hits from trout can be pretty hard. So it doesn't hurt, I think, to have a low startup inertia on the reel, so that you can avoid potentially getting broken off by the fish on the strike. Anyway, I'm going to go out and have a little bit of a cast. I highly recommend that if you're in the market for a high-end trout spey rod, you really have to give this a look. It's such a beautiful rod. I couldn't be happier with it. I think it's really fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down the bottom, and we'll see you next time.